Welcome to NHK World Direct Talk. Our guest today is Yuichi Mori, the CEO of an agricultural startup called Mebio. He has developed an innovative technology that allows you to grow agricultural products using a special membrane without soil. Mori calls it film farming. Seeds are planted on top of the film, which is infused with water and nutrients, and the results. Roots attached to the film. Healthy plants begin to sprout even though there's no soil. You can grow cherry, tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, among others. Film farming is now beginning to be adopted outside of Japan, including China and the Middle East. We asked the inventor if this technology has the potential to change agriculture as we know it.
Agriculture can be very complicated. We want to make it simple. Farming that can be done anywhere, by anyone. That's our goal. We think we can bring agriculture to places in the world that don't have it.
This is a farm that uses the film farming technique. Cherry tomatoes are grown here. Mori says that even someone with no farming experience can do it easily. First, tubes that will supply water and nutrients are placed on top of a waterproof sheet. Next comes a white sheet of unwoven fabric, which ensures that the water and nutrients spread out evenly. Then, seedlings are planted on top of the film. The roots spread across the film, and the tomatoes grow.
Farming has several tricky elements to it. Some very tricky stuff. One thing is the soil. Soil will be completely different from place to place, even just from here to there. Completely different. And you have to water different plants in different ways. When it's hot, when it's cold, in different seasons. Even after 10 years, figuring out the watering can still be tricky. So you have the soil and the watering, which are tricky to figure out. But this film solves all that. Since we're using this film in place of the soil, as long as you have some kind of ground, you can grow anywhere. Even concrete is fine. Farming has always had fields, soil. This technology goes beyond that.
For many years, Mori did research on films and membranes for industrial use at large chemical firms. At the age of 53, he decided to try something different and started the company Mebio. He and his employees spent 10 years developing the world's first plastic farming film that could be used in place of soil.
From the most ancient times, agriculture has used just soil and water. But think of industry. At one time, it was driven by steel. The Industrial Revolution, as they say. Then next came plastic. We're currently in that era, the plastic era. If you look at agriculture that way, you think, wow, it's still just soil and water, same as ever. I thought we should develop a film that could replace the soil and water.
Mori brought the film to farmers. He says that their reaction surprised him.
The farming world is conservative. I'd show it to farmers and they'd say, "We have good soil. What are we supposed to do with this? What are you going to give us if we lose a year's crops?" Pretty much no one wanted to use it. Getting them to adopt it seemed very hard.
But in the end, farmers did start using the film. One key was a technological feature. On the surface of the film, which is 0.05 millimeters thick, there are numerous nano-sized pores.
It's nanoscale. We can control the size of these holes precisely and put a bunch in. Countless numbers. The key to fertilizer is the ions inside, that and water, and they can get through these tiny holes. Then there are viruses, but they're tens of thousands of times bigger, and bacteria are larger still. They can't get through the holes. So, even without lots of agrochemicals, the plants won't get sick.
The film has a powerful filtering system, but one aspect of this system is that most of the water and nutrients end up inside the film, making it hard for the plants to absorb them. Mori says, though, that this is actually beneficial for the plant's health.
The surface of the film is bone dry. The water and fertilizer are inside the film, so the plants have to figure out a way to get inside the film to get them. One amazing thing is that their roots are about 100 times thinner than usual. So, 10,000 times the surface area, and these roots are clinging to the sheet. And that huge surface area, the fact that it's 10,000 times greater, means that the plants are excellent at absorbing the water and fertilizer. That massive surface area is a big part of this.
One thing Mebiol's film can do is grow extra sweet tomatoes. Most cherry tomatoes have a sugar content of 5 or 6, but those grown through film farming are typically close to 10, almost double.
It depends on the season and variety, but the sweetest we've ever grown had a sugar content of 16. That's sweeter than a lot of kinds of fruit. It's hard to absorb water from the film. That makes them sweeter. Water moves from areas of low to high osmotic pressure. That's how osmosis works. And if a tomato's sweeter, it means the osmotic pressure in its cells is higher. The tomato tries to absorb more water, which naturally makes it sweeter. Plants live on the earth. They live in extremely hot places, places with no water, with no sunlight. In those situations, they find a way to live. They find a way to survive. Another way to think about it is that they're resilient. They're resistant to things.
Mori has successfully cultivated lettuce, peppers, and other crops through his experiments. And he's working hard on getting more people to use film farming to raise the extra sweet cherry tomatoes, which can be very lucrative. Right now, there are 100 farms in Japan using film farming to raise cherry tomatoes, 30 hectares of land in total. The 2011 Great East Japan earthquake devastated the Tohoku region. This is one place where film farming can serve a useful purpose.
It's been 5 or 6 years since the giant tsunami hit Tohoku, and they haven't replaced much of the soil. Because of the tsunami, the soil is still filled with salt. It's totally unusable. To get that soil healthy again will take time. But we realized that we could grow tomatoes there. We're doing that now. We wanted to do something that would change the world. That's what this effort in Tohoku is about.
Recently, film farming has also spread beyond Japan. 6 hectares in China are already operational, and Mori says there are more people who are interested.
Right now, the people of China are very concerned about the safety of their food. Some people have this 6 hectares near Shanghai, and they don't know the history of the land. Maybe they plant something, then realize afterwards the soil's contaminated. That would be terrible. So they went with our technology. Sometimes in China, you'll have agrochemicals lingering in the soil, or runoff from factories, like heavy metals and things. And the population of China is growing. So is the numbers of factories, which means that there's a lot of pollution being caused by humans. But with our technology, they can grow safer crops starting tomorrow.
Another place Mori has expanded into is Dubai in the Middle East. Atop the scorching desert sand, film farming has already produced sweet tomatoes.
We set up a 0.4 hectare farm over there. I think of Dubai as the world's display window. If there's something new and fresh, you can find it there. I wanted the place we would be most visible, and so I picked Dubai. The tomatoes are sweeter than the Japanese ones, and the yields are bigger. It's because the sun is strong. The desert has turned out to be a great place. The most important source of nutrition for plants is the sun, and they definitely have the sun there. The land that can no longer be used for farming because of soil contamination or because of desertification is growing. The space we have for producing food for ourselves is getting smaller. We're gradually destroying it. But what if we go to the desert and turn that space into agricultural land? If we can produce food there, then we can solve humanity's food crisis. We can. Space there is limitless, and the sun is strong. It's really an ideal place for growing crops. Cooperate, but don't compromise. What I do is run a startup. But in a typical company, we have the people above you, your peers, and then the people below you. It's vertical. I don't like that. Each person, each professional, has a completely different way of thinking. I wanted to create a company where people worked well together, but they all had completely different ideas and perspectives about things. I wanted to create a company where that was the relationship the employees had to each other. Thus, these words, cooperate but don't compromise. That's what I believe.